Jai Hind, listeners. Today we have the privilege of interviewing Maj Gen K Eswaran in our next episode of MRO Digest Dialogues. General Eswaran retired in 2017 as the Commandant of EME School, Vadodara, after being with the armed forces for about 30 years. He has done MTech, Diploma in Multimedia, and is a fellow of Institute of Engineers India. He has specialized in armored fighting vehicles. He's been a very strong proponent of moral values and ethics in the army. He organized a seminar in Delhi on national character building, inviting His Excellency Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. He instituted Character and Competence Award in Delhi area schools and army base workshop. Continuing his pursuit on value-based education at Vadodara, he organized several workshops on 7 habits of highly effective people. This was done for all officers and men. After retirement, he got the opportunity of being a defense banking advisor of Southern region in the State Bank of India. Presently, he is very active as a social person contributing to the society. He is also the founder of Help and Serve Public Charitable Trust and has launched a social service website for all armed forces people. It is helpandserve.in. A link to that is in the details below. It is a mutual help platform. So we have this opportunity of asking a person who has done so much towards the morals and ethics about how morals and ethics impact MRO organizations. So my first question to you, General Eswaran, is how do you visualize the importance of trust in MRO?
Thank you, sir. Thanks for the kind introduction, and I'm grateful to you for that. Most of the speakers before me, sir, have stressed upon the importance of good infrastructure and human resource for building the MRO hub. Human resource has always been the backbone of any organization. It is always the man behind the machine. We have already seen during the 71 war when Pakis had better tanks and better planes like Sabre jets and Patton tanks, and we had Nats and Vijay, and still our men were much better, and we proved the mettle. And as they say, rest is history. Similarly, sir, today when a mechanic is sent for repairing a gun at the height of 15,000 feet, when it is numbing cold and snow blizzards and even sometimes random enemy shelling, it needs a lots of guts and integrity to do the job. And a mechanic has to do the job sure shot. There can be no two ways about it because you are in the face of the enemy. And best part is there is no supervisor at all. That person is doing it all alone. It is his talent and his integrity which does the job. And people who send him there have also a lot of trust in him. So that is the beauty of being a trustworthy person. Similarly, that we have proved it during the Kargil war, how our boys have done a wonderful job. And we gave a resounding reply to the enemy. Similarly, if you see in the civil environment, when in a big city, you have a large workshop where the repairs and overhauls are being done, it is a one-man show because finally, when a man does an intricate job, he gets inside a vehicle or when he does an intricate task, even the supervisor cannot come and see there. It is that one man, that one point man, the point worker and his own integrity which does the job. If he is sincere enough and he does a good job, he gets a good name for the company and the company becomes trustworthy. So that is why the trust part is very important when we speak about MRO, and that can get a good name to the company. We have several companies in this country who are very, very trustworthy. So when we interact with them, we have no fear. We are sure that the job will be very nicely done, and we have full confidence. Similarly, there are some other companies where if you are not sure, how do they do it? And we are scared of getting things done by them. Why is it so? It is all because of the name. And the name, based on that name, we have that faith in that company. We have heard of a European car company which violated deliberately on the pollution law. That means the top management was fully aware of that. That brought so much of bad name to the company, and it affected the business. Not only that, because of the uh, lack of character in the top management, it percolated down at the lower level. Even the workers started misbehaving. So that affects the whole company that we have to take care. Building trust takes years and years, but it is only a few minutes to lose that trust. And once that trust is lost, it's very difficult to survive in this competitive world. So I would like to connect building trust to not only at the individual level, but also as a part of the system and the infrastructure.
So this is excellent because you have connected that the trustworthiness of a company to its brand, the importance to its brand, and then as a result to its business. And I'm sure this will be something which will be very important for all MRO businesses also. So may I ask you that what do you think are the essential ingredients in building trust for a company to become trustworthy?
As I said earlier, sir, many speakers like me, General N.B. Singh, General Rajiv Nayan, have stressed upon the importance of human resource and infrastructure, authentic leadership, and foundational system to achieve the global standards of MR. Before I explain further, I would like to narrate a very nice incident of JRD Tata. During one of the meetings he was sharing, the chief financial advisor said that we can do such and such thing to save a lot of tax for the company. And it's a very, very huge amount. So JRD made a simple question that is it legal? Is it technically correct? So they said, yes, it is technically correct and it is authorized way of doing it. His next question was, is it morally correct? For that, there was no answer. And so the GRD turned it down. So it is all about integrity. Finally, I would like to say that it eventually boils down to the goose and the golden egg. We all know the famous story, how the farmer was trying to get all the eggs in one day and finally he killed the goose. It is such a simple story, a child's play, but you will be surprised that even today, many of us doing exactly the same. They forget that there is earth, so we are. They also forget that there is a nation, so is the company. It is not the other way around. Some of the CEOs of the company want to be very loyal to the shareholders. Fine. But that doesn't mean that he can make a fast buck or fast money by flouting all the pollution norms. Similarly, the nation comes first. You cannot sell your country to make your shareholders happy. It is just to make a point. That is where the principles and values of the organization come into play. And that is what the authentic leadership is all about. As Gandhiji also said, there is enough for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed. So let us talk about the human resource first. We all understand that when it comes to human resource, it is all about education and skill, which is required for the MR. There is no doubt about it. And most of us are doing that. But there are other things also which are required. In fact, a person has to be capable and fit. He has to be not only mentally capable and smart, he has to be also physically strong. Plus, also there is a third dimension of morally straight. He has to have a good character. One must have a strength of character because eventually application of intellect is character driven. Unless the person is sincere and loyal to the organization and he has a sense of responsibility, he will not be able to produce the desired result. It is a fair combination of character and competence of a person to become a reliable and trustworthy. Similarly, at the organization level, this was at the individual level. Coming out the organization level, I have coined a new term as moral infrastructure. We all understand what a physical infrastructure is, like roads, buildings, machines, equipment, etc., which you can physically see. That is the hardware part in a computer, if you want to compare. Similarly, we know what is the mental infrastructure. Mental infrastructure is like skills, knowledge, etc., experience, and also the software part, the operating system, etc. So that is, if I compare the computer, the software part. So to make a organization work, you need to have a hardware part and the software part both. That is physical and mental infrastructure. Now I add to it the third dimension, that is the moral infrastructure. Now to make this point very clear, I would like to give you a small example. Suppose there is a wonderful building of a hospital. Very nice building, excellent top class building, 5-star type of a building, and all machines, etc. they have. But just that building and machinery of a hospital, will it make it functional hospital? No. It needs doctors, it needs the skill, it needs the experience, it needs the expertise to people to be there to operate, to carry out an operation or carry out a treatment of patient. So that is what. So both you need, physical and the mental part. Now you have the physical and the mental part, the hospital is ready to function. But do you think that is enough? There is one more thing which is missing. And that is the moral part. Just imagine, suppose that hospital had no value system. It was corrupt from top to bottom and not trustworthy at all. Do you think it will be able to work? Do you think people will go to it? So that is where the moral infrastructure comes into place. Now, by moral infrastructure, I imply that systems in place to ensure that everything is done ethically. And there has to be an organization, a regulatory bodies for checks and balances, and to have some codes of conduct. So that, and there's also a strong desire to become trustworthy so that everything moves functionally and smoothly. Similarly, in case of an MRO, it is not enough for the factory which is working on particular equipment to be sincere all alone. In fact, all the subsidiaries and ancillaries which are involved with it, the input that the factory gets from all over, that also has to be equally trustworthy and reliable. Only then the final product will be good.
So this is the word you have brought out, moral infrastructure. It's an excellent way of looking at how we can improve on ethics. So obviously a company for delivering its services or making the products has to be competent. But as you say, it also has to be trustworthy. So in your view, how can we develop this trustworthiness? And how is it that you can practically implement the proposals you make?
So even for a minute, sir, I do not wish to say that people are not ethical. No, everyone is aware of it. And there are many good people in this world, there's no doubt about it. And they are following ethical practices. And we have very good companies in this country. In spite of all that, there are some gray areas. The focus is lacking. Focus is generally on, as I said earlier, physical and the mental part because it is more tangible. You can see it. The moral part is generally on the back burner. So my idea is to get it on the front burner, get it to the front, so that results are further improved and we have a holistic development. And I'm sure it is not very difficult at all. And we have practiced this in the army and various other industrial environments. So some of the suggestions, very, very practical suggestions that I'd like to make is like this. First is to have a fair system of selection. The intake. Whenever you select staff and the tradesmen for a particular factory, it has to be based on pure merit. A very fair system, whatever rules and regulations you have made up, it has to be followed. In fact, this is the bedrock of all ethical practices. The candidates have to be absolutely, should have absolute faith in the system. Like we are expecting trustworthy people. Similarly, the company also has to be trustworthy to get a fair person coming in. Any shortcoming at this stage of induction will have very long-term repercussions and the persons may tend to take revenge later on in life. I'm sure this is not very difficult to implement and most of us are doing it. So we must reinforce this. The second part is about the honor code and code of conduct. Now, being trustworthy is more of a habit. And as you're all aware, Habits can be changed in a matter of 3 weeks' time. Having an honor code or a code of conduct reminds the person and the organization of the various commitments that one has to render. There are many good companies in India and abroad who have honor codes and code of conduct, and even like in various institutions in India like IIT, IIM, even Harvard and Yale universities have honor code. So it is good to implement honor code and code of conduct in any company. And that alone is not enough. We must also have a small committee which is created out of the workers and the staff themselves to monitor it and also supervise it and implement it smoothly. Next point I have is a regular value-based training as a part of the routine. We have various kinds of training capsules in any company. So you will be surprised to know that State Bank of India has a periodic magazines on ethics and values. It contains several case studies, question and answers, self-improvement ideas. They also have regular online quizzes so that it keeps on reminding them and makes people think. It is really amazing. I don't think I've seen anything else anywhere else like that. That's a very good idea. Next point is on quotations on values in ethics. Many organizations practice it. And any factory, if you see, we have several posters put on security and various other things, safety, etc. Along with that, we should also have some value-based, quotations, etc., which people read over a time and it sinks into them. And over a period of time, when people don't even read it physically, their subconscious mind reads it. Like a conscious mind may read it and just pass it on, but the subconscious mind reads it and it assimilates and gets into the heart. And as you are all aware, the subconscious mind is much more powerful than the conscious mind. So in case of an issue or whenever the person has a problem or an issue, that subconscious mind comes into play because of all these quotes in place. So it's a very, very good and a positive way of generating ideas in people. Next is lead by example and walk the talk. The top management has to follow this. They have to be that is where the authentic leadership comes into play that we spoke about. Like there's an old saying, Yatha Raja, Tatha Praja. Everybody follows the leader. So leader must talk about it, and what he preaches, he must practice that. And one more thing which I'd like to tell you is, whatever the leader does or the top management does, nothing is hidden from the lower staff. Everything is clear. So leader has to be clear inside out, in and out, absolutely through and through. He should be transparent and clear. Then the entire work staff will follow the leader. Something about happiness and satisfaction. This is again one more important issue that we must teach people how to be happy and satisfied. Yes, it is very surprising because people are basically happy and satisfied when they have a job, etc., everything they're doing. But they have to be made aware of it. Generally, if you ask a person, he may have a long face and for no rhyme or reason, for no reason. So this is also one way of making them realize that he has everything. He has roti, kapda, makan, he is well-to-do, he's got a job, he's got a family, he's got a house, everything he has. There's no reason for him to be not happy about things. So that also a small capsule and coaching, etc., can be done by various means of doing it. You have regular get-togethers, family outings, have various festivals being celebrated to make him aware that he's a really happy person. And that will have an added advantage in the factory itself. A person who is happy, firstly, will not do anything wrong. And secondly, his performance on the job will be much, much better. Next, I have important point is about prompt punishments in case of moral turpitude. Any case of moral turpitude should not be taken lightly. The punishment should be fast and quick and as per the offense. So we should never take it easy. In case we practice laxity in this case, it can have a adverse effect in the long run and more people may get into corruption. Next point I have about the character and competence award. I wonder how many of you have seen the old Raj Kapoor movie Shri 420. In that, he is awarded a Iman medal for his honesty during his college days, which of course he tries to sell it and later gets transformed. Now, this is something really wonderful. And we have carried out this experiment in a factory of 2,000 people, and there were 5 unions in that. We organized a character and competence award. We made a rules and regulation. We assessed based on 360 degree of evaluation and shortlisted 10 people. And those 10 people were further interviewed personally by the top management. And it was really heartening to hear them to say their inner feelings. There were so many selfless people who were working there. They said, we are very, very happy with our job and we do not look forward to anything else. We only want to do honest work and we are ready to do anything for this company. Such kind of pure feelings had emerged from those workers. Of course, finally, only 3 people were awarded pure silver medal. And that made a very important impact in the entire factory. People firstly started talking about it. The union leaders were also very happy with this new experiment. And something which eventually percolated down is that small petty thefts, etc., in the factory immediately came down. People were well aware that yes, an honest person is also awarded, and they realized that. The next point I have is transparency and fairness in all our dealings. In all the major activities of promotions, postings, and day-to-day dealings, we must have total transparency and be honest about it. Obviously, any undue favors carried out to anyone will have adverse effect. Is very, very well known. Even simple things like the perks and privileges at various levels that have been laid down by the company, the management and the senior management must follow that. Either you change the rule or you follow the rule. It is very, very simple. But you should not break the rule. Next point I have is to develop team spirit and motivation. Now, this is one of the most important points of any organization. Like you see in an army unit have a motivation of the flag, and the regimental spirit. A soldier will never let down the regimental spirit or never let down the flag. He is ready to give his life for it. That's very important. Similarly, if the company spirit is built up, then the workers and the staff, everybody who is there, they will give their life for it, their company, and they will work for it. So how do you build up the company spirit? It's one way of doing it is to build up a lot of patriotism in the workers. Building patriotism is fairly easy. You have so many great war heroes in this nation. You can build up patriotism, and in the name of the country, they can come up. And once you build up patriotism, you must align the company's interest with the national interest. So automatically, you will be in turn in tune with the workers' spirit, and that will have many advantages to the company.
So that's you have given out very clear steps which can be used for improving the moral infrastructure of a company. So in doing this, are there any financial aspects which you would like to tell us about?
So firstly, I would like to say that any change of attitude does not cost any money, but earns a lot in the long run. So there's hardly any financial repercussion. A good reputation is priceless, in fact. Short-sightedness pays for short-term and long-sightedness pays for long-term. The choice is ours. So we must have a distant holistic vision. In fact, everything that I mentioned earlier is already in place. Only thing is we have to change the attitude and follow it and practice it with a pure and a soul heart, and to keep the best practices in mind. It is a change of mindset to do things ethically. So there are hardly any financial repercussions. And I feel in the long run, the company will be saving a lot.
So this is heartening to know. Actually, this process is, if they come into place, they can become a very good tool for management and for brand building. So now the next thing which I would like to ask you is that to sum it up in a sense, what do you think are the major advantages and disadvantages?
So advantages are manifold. If you go mathematically, output to input will be very, very high. It would be a win-win situation for all of us, the company as well as the worker. Plus, it also enhances the effectiveness of the company, which is very, very important. Company will be able to gain tremendous reputation in the market and establish itself as a very trustworthy organization. And that's very important for an MRO hub. The quality of MRO would be very, very high, and automatically it will become the choice of all customers. I don't see any disadvantages per se. because there may be some disgruntled people who may be missing out on their privileges. But in the long term, they'll also come in line. And in any case, there are very few people like this, we can brush them aside. Concluding, I would like to say that any company can practice this. Even in case they had dull past, they can revive now and start uh, coming on the right track. Let bygone be bygones and practice the right thing from day one. You did it today. You can start today. And I'm sure gradually they can come on track and see the benefits of this building trust. And I'm sure the company will really benefit because of that. And now I feel, in fact, the time has come. Then we need to raise the bar, and we all have the right to expect a top quality product.
Thank you very much, General Eastman. It has been wonderful listening to you. Right, with that we come to an end of this particular episode, and here the seminal idea of moral infrastructure has emerged through the thinking of General Eastwaran, who has practiced this and he's given you actual examples of how he did it and how you can benefit by following his approach. We now look forward to seeing you in our future episodes of MRO Digest. This, as I said, this episode has been brought to you by the MRO Digest forums, and we look forward to seeing you again. Jai Hind.